One. Ta-da! Here we are. Here we are, and I have a thing sticking up. Good morning, everybody. It's so relieving, and it's so lovely, and it's so refreshing to be in the presence of a thoroughgoing professional. Let us all pause for a brief moment while I find my coffee and take a sip and say, oh, all right. Today, by my calculations, it is the 9th of January, which means we have been in this new calendar cycle that we have artificially created in order to keep track of ourselves. And so we've been at it for a little over a week, and we're exhausted. And I have two friends who have come down with something for the second or third time. They just get better and then they get sick again. And I had lunch with a lovely friend the other day, and then two other amazing people last week. And it sounds like I have a dizzying social whirl, but I don't. It's just every so often, like one of those little timid woodland creatures, I poke my head out and somebody says, "Want to have lunch?" Okay. And off I go. So there is a phrase that has made the rounds for thousands of years, and it's called the glooms, and the January blahs, and the November whatevers, right? And fundamentally, for most of us in countries where there are shifts in weather systems that are quite dramatic, when we get a prolonged period of darker, grayer, more exhausting days, it's a draining experience because we're reactive and we're receptive to everything around us. I have a dear longtime lifetime friend actually who lives on the west coast of Canada. And good morning, Freddie, and good morning, Daniel. How are you? How are you both? My friend on the west coast suffers from something called seasonally affective disorder. Seasonally affected, maybe. And what that means is that her propensity to feel down, depressed, exhausted is made much worse, more dramatically worse when the skies are gray day after day after day. And so taking leave of her senses entirely, when she and her husband got married, they packed up and went to the place where it rains all the time. Now, when it doesn't rain, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Vancouver, Victoria, the west coast of Canada is just lovely when it's not raining. And so there is a product on the market for that kind of symptom circumstance. It's a light, a click. It's a light in your house, but it has whatever it needs in it to give you that sense of the UV rays, to give you that sense that there is hope yet. And so for those of us who can find that kind of equipment and plug it in if the power hasn't gone out, there are other solutions. And I wanted to go over them today because it's pervasive. And if there is anything at all floating around, we get too close to each other in confined spaces with not enough ventilation, and then we start getting sick because we're breathing each other's used air. Then it's really exhausting because it's cool, damp, cold, gray. The pavement and the sky are the same color. If you walk around in a gray coat and you drive a gray car, what is the matter with you? It is very difficult. Phil, well, good morning from Texas. How is Texas, Phil? And Michael, well, hi. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you. The reason we're on today, gentlemen, ladies, humans of all shapes and sizes, is that we're talking about the glums. We're talking about the dark stuff. And I don't mean the dark, devastating stuff. And, just all now this morning. Good morning, Kelly. Just all now this morning. Huge hugs to my loved ones in California. Huge hugs to some of my children, my TV children who are in the affected area, and to all of the brilliant people that I've worked with over the years. Grab your stuff that matters and get out. Everything can be rebuilt. I'm going to start this conversation today by saying It's a simple question we can ask ourselves. When we look at a situation and it's overwhelming and we feel that if we just leave, we've lost everything. Here's the question, and I know it works because I had to ask it. What would it absolutely break my heart to have lost? Not destroy me, not devastate me, but really break my heart. What would it break my heart to have lost? And I asked myself that question when I was forced to move, when I had gone through something horrible and it cost me everything. And I lost my my house, I lost everything, and I had to move. And I was going into the little village where I lived, and I had my two dogs in the car, and I was going to get bags or boxes or something. And when I came back, as I was driving home, I thought, when we crest the hill, if the house was gone and everything in it, what would it break my heart to have lost? And you know what is really crazy? The list was very short, very short. Fundamentally, it was a few, very few keepsakes that I could put in an envelope, some clothing so I didn't horrify the neighbors, some basic essentials, and that was it. That was it. The furnishings, the stuff, the pictures, the whatever, they can all be replaced with different, with new, with something that feels old. Okay. But it's us and who we are that matters. And that's the question I'm posing to my loved ones right now, where they're devastated and it's terrifying. And the flames and the storms and the cold and the ice and the snow are moving fast. What would it absolutely break your heart to have lost, and then put that in a bag, in a box, in a suitcase, in a knapsack, and go? We can all begin again, all of us. And I speak from experience. Some clothing so I didn't horrify the neighbors. That made you laugh, did it? Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Susan. So the conversation today, what do we do about the glums? What do we do to override the looming black cloud? How do we get our self back? And the answer is remarkably, ridiculously, mom-worthy simple. We focus on knowing the feeling. I was talking to my friend the other day who was saying she started waking up feeling like there's a little black cloud surrounding her. And I said, name it, give it a name. And she said, what do you mean? And I said, give it a name, give it a funny name, a cute name, an adorable, cuddly name. And then tomorrow when you wake up and you say to this looming sense of something, well, good morning, Tiggy What's-It. How are you? What's on your agenda today, Tiggy What's-It? Now, I just made that up. Don't you, or use it. But give it a frivolous name. Give it a name worthy of a smile. Susan is now immediately thinking of the word pickle. Give it something that gives you the ownership, you the superior position, so that when you call it by name, you're not saying, please don't hurt me. You're saying, how's it going? Have a conversation with the thing that is looming. What kind of conversation? Well, I'll tell you. You know what's a really interesting thing that we don't think about? Pausing, why do you think about it? Every single one of the deadlines we buy into, every one, is self-imposed. I don't have time. I have to get this done by 4 o'clock. But says who? Well, I promised. Okay. But what happens if it doesn't get done by 4 o'clock? What happens at 4:30? Well, I guess I do it tomorrow. Okay. So what happens if you're not hurt? but you're trying to get it done by 4:30. And you rush outside to get something out of the car. And while you're out of the house, a tree falls and lands across your front porch. Doesn't break anything, but you can't get in the door. You have to figure out a way to get around the snow, around to a back door, run over to a neighbor because everything's inside. Run over, get something, shovel the snow away, get through the door, and get inside. It's now 4:45. You didn't get it done by 4 o'clock. There's a clause in insurance policies, acts of God aren't covered. So think if you can, and I know right now, if you're feeling overwhelmed and if you're feeling just so spinny, first of all, before I ask you to think, what I want, if you're feeling spinny, I used to tell Susan this. Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take your hand, make it flat, make it horizontal, put it on top of your head and press. Are you doing it? Yes. Okay. Keep doing it. Why? And I said, I just do it for like count to 10. Okay. How do you feel? Ridiculous. Perfect. What are you talking about? Okay. So now I've got you not feeling the other thing. Now I've got you to ridiculous. And then she started to laugh. And I said, there it is. There's the win. Laughter, dopamine, positive endorphin. I'm back in charge. You can take your hand off the top of your head now. And I know that when I laugh, it may seem like I'm making light of it, but I'm not. I'm laughing because we win. It's a spike the ball laugh. We win when we can find our path, when we can find our power, when we can reach into that other part of us that isn't overwhelmed by some temporary deadline. I have been, good morning, Warren. Some clothing soy didn't horrify the neighbors. That made me laugh out loud. Well, you see, Michael, we live to serve. We also don't want to horrify the neighbors. Don't encourage your mother. What the heck? It's Thursday. We can encourage me a little. So here's the thing I'm trying to say. We are in charge. It doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like it when we take on too much. It doesn't feel like it when too many people are asking too much. It doesn't feel like it when no matter how hard we try. What is that old expression? The hurrieder we go, the behinder we get. Okay, if the faster we go, the more behind we are, possibly stopping is an idea, because if we stop, we can't possibly get more behind. If we're getting behind because we're rushing, it means we're doing something wrong. There's a feeling of urgency. There's a feeling of panic. This is all the primary, primal survival. I have to run fast because the puma is behind me. However, oh my God, Abby just said hi to me, Brian. Don't encourage your father. Ah. So this is what I want us to do, because I had to do it the other day. I was hyperventilating about a project that is so beautiful, and it's such a wonderful, touching project, and it's such a heart piece. And I keep hitting roadblocks with it, and I keep feeling that when I hit the roadblock, and I'm staring at the roadblock, trying to figure out why it's there and what it is linked to in the content that I'm polishing. Because the last thing I want to do is have my client feel that his passion for the project was not shared or respected. And then this odd thing happened. I think I got a phone call or something, and I was distracted, so it shifted my gears, right? And I caught sight of something on social media that made me think, oh, I need to ask this question, because this question might be the reason that I keep hitting roadblocks. So I asked the question. And The reply I got from the client was, I feel terrible. I'm so overwhelmed. I can't reply to you right now. My boat, his boat, same boat. We all feel like we're not stepping up. We all feel like we're lagging behind. We all feel like we're not doing enough, except that we are. We are doing enough. It's just that sometimes it's an uphill slog. Sometimes you got to go up in order to go down. It's the way it is. So the first step in addressing the black cloud is to give it a name that's cute. Don't give it a name you don't like. I've always hated that name. I'll call the cloud that. No, no, no. You don't need to be the black cloud. We need to diffuse the black cloud, right? I believe if there's a pre-written plan for us in life, then why not trust the tools we spent so much time sharpening? Why not? Why not, Brian? Why not? What we first need to do is reestablish where we are. If this is my life and I'm living it, then obviously I'm in charge. I was here first. Now, if something is upsetting me, if something is overwhelming me, I know for a fact, having lived it as a military child, everything is temporary. Every wave that hits the beach recedes. It doesn't stay there. It goes foof and leaves. Now, do we get flooding? Yes. All right. Make a list of the things that would break your heart to have lost and move to higher ground. What if I don't want to move? Okay, then you have choices. How badly do you want to stay? Well, the way it used to be, no, it's now. The way it used to be was, we are here now. Too much, and the universe says not right now. Exactly. Yes, Susan and I talk about this all the time. We're trying to make things happen on our time, on our dime, on our agenda, and the universe is saying, sorry, no, it's back ordered. Just wait your turn. You know, because just before you came on, my favorite song came on the radio, but I turned it off. Oh my goodness, Chris. So the first thing is, give it a name that is yours to own, that puts them in their place. Now then, young man, changes everything, even if the young man is only 20 minutes younger than you. I used to do that with a friend of mine I grew up with. It really annoyed him. Sure, Rome wasn't built in a day. Well, you know, parts of it probably were. It's my life, Poncho. So this is a conversation going on. Oh my God, Chris, are you looking at this? Are you I'm pointing to the comments. Chris, it's just like our Facebook group. Everybody's talking to each other. So back to the beginning. Stay on track, Abby. First, give the gloom a name that gives you dominance. Call it what it is. Give your impatience a name. Give your deadline a name. So Daniel hugs his cat. And so whatever it is that is a comfort, we're going to get to that in a second, but give the recurring thing that drags you back, that pulls you down, give it a name. If it has a name, give it a private name. One of the things that I talk about a lot is giving yourself a code word that is a pattern interrupt, a pattern disrupt. You know, you picture somebody riding a bicycle at high speed. It's the Tour de France, blah, 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 right? Okay, if you had a stick, fairly long stick, and you stood by the side of the road, and as one of them went by, you just went like that. You just went like that, and you stuck your stick in the spoke of the wheel, the bike would stop. Now, the bike wouldn't slow to a halt. The bike would stop immediately, and the rider would fall over, boom, with the bike. Giving an upsetting quality in your life, your insistence on deadlines, your compulsive need to do this, your just overriding general gloom, give it a name that disrupts its momentum. Give it a name that is silly or cuddly or random or foolish sounding or cute, and talk to it. Don't refer to it, that's my this. Well, you can, but talk to it and use the name, because you're in charge. And you don't have to talk to it in a stern voice. You wake up and you say, oh, Figgy, what's it? There you are. Is it Tiggy, what's it? How are you, my little black cloud? What's on your agenda today? And then listen to it. But you lead. It's your boat. You're at the helm. All this other stuff, these freeloaders, these black clouds, these gloomy doomies, they're hitching a free ride. Okay? And they're going to have to do the work. First of all, you put them in their place, you give them a name. It designates their rank and their seniority, which is less than yours. So that's the first thing. That is resetting who's on first, who's in charge. That's the first thing. The second thing is to ask that question. If I miss my deadline, what happens? Susan and I talk about this all the time. What if, then what? If I miss the deadline, what if I miss the deadline? Then what happens? Am I shot at dawn? No. Well, no. Okay, then. Every deadline we buy into. Now, when you work here, we expect you after 5 o'clock, when you clock out, we expect you to put in another 2 hours free. No. Well, everybody does it. Well, that's good for them, but I work for the pay, and I'll work as you pay. Well, that's very no. Okay, but that's it. So we establish our boundaries, we establish our rules, our behaviors, and we get to choose which deadlines we buy into. So what that does is it means the deadline doesn't run us. It means that we choose to work with, to, at the deadline, not for the deadline. The deadline doesn't rule us. We choose to honor the deadline. We also choose to recognize that you can't meet a deadline and move a tree from in front of your house and shovel the walk to get back into the house and meet the deadline. And no one expects us to. That's what we start telling ourselves, because we are facing the wrong way. So call it a name, establish what is really important, choose to recognize that deadlines are merely temporary lines in the sand, and they can be erased and redrawn. Okay? And the fourth one that really matters so much, and Warren and I were talking about it yesterday, and it's this. When we feel that we can't move on, what we owe it to ourselves to do is to define what we can't move on from. And Warren and I were talking about losing loved ones. And I said, and this had happened when I was having lunch the other day, if you've spent years in a situation with someone of any kind, and they had their ups and downs, but basically it was your life. It was your life, and you loved it. Okay. When something happens to that person or that situation, or that thing, the amount of time that is taken up in the loss, in the losing, in the heartbreak, in the destruction, in the recovery is very short. It's devastating, no question, it's devastating. But that small window, that small section of time that is terrible, that is devastating, that is heartbreaking, that is not the full relationship. That is not what you lived your whole life. That is a small, small, short, terrifying, exhausting, granted, but a very small, small chapter in that long and convoluted and up and down and beautiful story. We are not able to wipe the slate blank and move on from our lives. And we're not meant to. Everything that happens to us, every person we meet, every situation that we find ourselves in and moving through becomes a thread in the fabric, in the in the tapestry that is our life. This beautiful tapestry that is weaving itself. Every person who comes in represents a thread, and they weave themselves into the pattern that is us. When they leave us, when that chapter ends, that thread doesn't disappear. It's tied off. It's not unraveling. It's there. It's solid. And if we could look at that tapestry, if we could think about that tapestry, it's beautiful because of it. Is there a difficult time? Is there a sad time? Is there a terrifying time? Sure. Life is difficult. Things happen. Things break. Things fall. Things decay. That's life. Also part of the tapestry. So when I was saying to Warren, if someone says I can't move on, A, you're not supposed to, in your head. I said to Warren, is this person military? Yeah. I said, this person knows exactly what it means to have a temporary life. We all have temporary lives. It felt like forever when we were elementary school. It felt like forever when we were in high school. It felt like forever when we had to study for exams. It felt like forever when we got into college. It felt like forever when we were waiting for that person to call, that job to get, that date to go on, to save up enough money to buy that thing that we craved and coveted and longed for. It felt like forever to build this or change that. And then the work was done. And there was the outcome. Everything is temporary. My beautiful, wonderful, talented friends in Los Angeles and in all those areas in California, my beautiful, wonderful, talented friends in all the normally warm parts of the eastern, southern United States who are now freezing, it's temporary. And we got this. And you're cold, get another blanket. My great friend Gary, who is dealing with, I don't know, is it cold number 7 at this point? I finally thought, oh my God. So I shared with him this vitamin C drink that I take. And I said, do it like this and go to bed. And I got a message from them this morning saying, oh my God, best drink ever. Oh, I'm fine. Something feels like it's working. Something feels like I'm going to live. And I said, I know, right? Best feeling ever is when you just can't seem to win. All of a sudden, something is warm and amazing. So it is always the simple win. The big win takes a long time, and it is made up of very small, simple wins stuck together, right? It's a tapestry. So black cloud, silly name. Pressure self-imposed of a looming deadline, change the deadline. Move it ahead. when you clock in and you say deadline delays, working diligently, updates coming when I can. Remove the word sorry. Remove the feeling of shame, of self-blame, of guilt. If you're doing your best, you're doing your best. There is no one telling you you're not worthy. Certainly not here. Certainly not in this moment. Certainly not in the Unforgettables, she said, giving a shameless plug. Check us out. We are the Unforgettables. It's a free Facebook group, and it's two things. It's partly about nostalgia. Oh my God, did you collect those too? That's what it looks like. What it really is that we are using nostalgia as the hi, my name is. What we're really building is a tribe that cares about each other, is checking in, is saying, I had no idea. Oh my gosh, what did you just say this morning, Brad? Did someone say donuts? I don't think that's what it was. I was looking for. Oh my God, Abby said hi to me. There you go. Before I said hi to you, before this morning, this other fellow said, oh my God, I never watched that show. How did I miss that? I'll have to check it out. I thought, boy, is he going to be surprised when he watches. So here's what I want us to together, okay? Not in lockstep, kind of, moving to the same music. We just do the best we can. And when we need to take cover in the cozy corner of our couch, which Susan talks about, we do. If we can and we want to stay in bed an extra 15 minutes, do it. You'll make it up later in the day. If you're overwhelmed physically, emotionally, mentally, there's a couple of things that you can also do if you have technology, if you understand it. You can find a channel that just shows a fire crackling, right? Just the picture of flames. Very, very soothing. You can also find one that is just the sound of a cat purring, if you're into cats. You can find sound effects for almost anything. And what you do, you can get one, it's the ocean waves, the calling of the whales. Whatever it is, you can get that and play it. Not nonstop, because it won't work after a while. But if you're going to take a pause, you're going to make a cup of tea or coffee, or you're going to sit down and have a cookie, whatever. Play that. Instead of scrolling just once or twice a day, instead of doing the more, turn on one of those sound effects. Drink your tea, stare at the flames, look at the ocean waves. Give yourselves that 15 minutes. Breathe. Take the cup back to the kitchen, put it on the counter, you'll wash it later, come back, refresh, start to work again. You deserve it. And it's free. And it means so much to come back fresh. What have you done in here? So I love my cat. Morning, Mom. Morning, Matthew. Morning, Mom. You are in charge. Listen to that voice inside. Yes. Yeah. But not the one inside that's saying, oh my God, buy more, do more, get more, be more. Not that voice. The one that says, oh yeah. All right then. Susan and I had a thing years ago so Susan was in a bad accident and she has some traumatic brain injury stuff that occasionally comes up and it makes her forget stuff. And so I said, make a list, right? And draw a line down the middle. On one side got it and the other side forgot it. Give yourself permission to recognize that you simply forgot it. Okay. We will not execute you at dawn. Write it down. I forgot this. Look at it. I forgot it again. I have a friend whose disorientation is so much that she puts a Post-it note. When she thinks of something, she writes on the Post-it note and she goes to the front door in her apartment and she puts the Post-it note there. And I said, what do you write on it? She said, anything. Shoes, keys to the house, to the car, clothing, grocery list, purse, brains, just anything. So that when I stop and I look at it and I have to go and get it. But the Post-it note is self-care. The Post-it note is saying, okay, so you know what? That part of my brain it broke. I hit something, it broke. The Band-Aid is the Post-it note. We don't have to beat ourselves up. We get to call the glooms by silly names. We get to decide that the deadline we self-imposed is not reasonable today, given this new thing we didn't see coming. Oh yes, the Hertz frequency is excellent. You have the day you deserve. Yes, Freddie, have the day you deserve. Give yourself permission to have the day you deserve. The question is what we think we deserve. We don't want to be beating ourselves up. You don't deserve that. You didn't this. Yes, we do. We deserve to be happy. We deserve to, if we like warm sheets on the bed, we deserve warm sheets on the bed. If we like cool sheets on the bed, we deserve cool sheets on the bed. And the reason, so important, the reason all of these small things that don't seem very important, the reason they matter is it's like giving ourselves fuel, good quality fuel. If you put cheap fuel in a car, you get engine knock and the car won't perform to its capability. If you put good fuel in, if you regularly check the air pressure in the tires, if you do self-care on the things that matter, you being the first, then when something really big happens, we are not already exhausted. If we have looked after ourselves, and I don't mean me, I mean we just take care of this machine, this box, this ship we're in, so that when we need it, we can get from here by rowing to the other side. Many of my friends who have moved to places like New York, or they've moved to Los Angeles, or they've moved to hubs where the work they do brilliantly is most needed. They have relocated, like animals on the Serengeti, migrating to where the resources are. They have removed themselves from their origins to be in the places where they can do the most work and reap the most rewards. All of a sudden, terrible fires, fast moving, hitting places where people have earned the right to say, I'm walking here. And I'm walking here wearing these shoes because I deserve it. And I get to live in this house because I earned it. And all of a sudden, the house is under threat. And it can feel completely demoralizing. I know it did to me. I know that it was exhausting. I'd worked so hard, and all of a sudden, this. And it's all very well and fine to say, brighter days are coming and you don't know what's around the corner and you this and you that. And it's helpful later. It's not helpful to have somebody say, this is going to, in the midst of, oh my God, everything I worked for. Now what? That is what we all naturally think. And share with each other and is It just, a thing came across my screen that said connection lost, reconnecting. If that happened, I hope you stay with me, okay? What we need to realize is that the people who have lost their homes are not alone. We need to realize that if we are set adrift, we're not alone. Everyone understands the later folder. Yeah. Susan's talking about the later folder. Every single thing that happens to us is temporary. Is the house lost? Yes. But are you safe? That's what matters. Are you okay? Do you have people? Is there somewhere you can go? Does anyone around you know that you need them? We're all checking in. We can complain about social media if we wish, but today I was able to reach out and say, let me know you're okay. Just say yes. Maybe they've lost power. They've had to go someplace. They didn't charge their phone. They forgot. They lost their phone. Borrow a phone. Get on a phone. There are ways for people to know, if you need me, I'm here. This is the huge, huge win. In the middle of my remarkably wretched time, I had two funny disaster, you've got to be kidding me, disaster cake, icing, sprinkles, cherry. It got worse and worse. I had two people, not at the same time, but within the space of 24 hours, look at me and say, are you kidding? And I would say, no. And they say, oh my God, okay, come here. And I got a hug and I promptly burst into tears. And they said, well, don't do that. Now you've ruined my shirt. Here's a hug. What can you do? Do you have the resources to make dinner? Are you exhausted? I don't know. Okay. Forget dinner. Come on, come with me. We're going to go and have dinner. And stopped what they were doing and took me to dinner. It wasn't lavish. We just went someplace and ate. And then got me home. That felt like I had won a lottery. Another one, I had lost this, and then some jerk, I lost that. And it was like another cherry icing sprinkles. And a friend of mine said, did I hear right about this? And I said, yeah. And she said, are you okay? And I said, no. And she said, all right, I'm on my way over. And she came over and she brought stuff, supplies, things that I was going to have to go and buy because it's, you buy stuff. And she just brought stuff, not a million things. She said, so forget thinking about that. Take that off the list. Take that. What else? I don't know. Okay. So, and she stayed for a couple of hours and she helped me reset. You put your feet up. I'm going to make you some tea. And just gave me permission to breathe. Best gift ever. So these are the things we have to learn to do for ourselves. We have to learn to do them for others. And for those of us with children, we have to teach them why it's so important that they spontaneously do it for us or for other people when they see need. We don't have to have $1 million. We don't have to give them a job. We don't have to buy them a car. We don't have to take them in out of the storm. We have to give them an essential Band-Aid with no price tag attached. How we learn how to teach them is by doing it for us. Is a Band-Aid a cure? No. But we don't have to look at this thing. We don't have to have it gooey and ugly and painful. We can cover it. I'm exhausted. I have so much to do. Good. Make a cup of tea, put your feet up. But I have so much to do. Do the stuff after the tea. Why? You'll have the energy. And yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. I had a hard time with that. Oh, did you, Susan? Oh, do you, Susan? Here's the thing. We argued about this. If you're on an airplane, you're supposed to put the oxygen on you first. No, but I want to do it for my child. Yeah, the child can't drive the car when you get to the airport. So prioritize. We beat ourselves up because we think we have to accomplish everything. So let's recap, okay? Name the looming glooming. Give it a foolish name. Speak to it in the present tense. Use the foolish name. That diminishes its size and raises you. Look at the deadlines that you have bought into. I have to be at work at 5. Okay, but if somebody drove their car into the front door of the store where you're supposed to be at work, they won't need you at 5. You can't get in. There's a car in the door. Everything is temporary. That which is good will become something else unless we maintain, unless we keep replenishing our stores. Don't decide ahead of time that you're not good enough. How do you know? You won't know till it comes. If you pre-decide, then you might as well stay under the bed because you're not even getting in the game. And the other last thing about the grief, about the anxiety, about the loss, about the grief. When we feel untethered, when we feel that our beautiful routine that we loved so much has been taken from us, we can have a new routine. And during the routine, we can talk about the things we used to do. Not yearn for them, but cherish them. We did things when we were 15 we don't do now. Some of us. We did things when we were 20 that we don't do now. We did things when we were 5 that we don't do now. And we're kind of okay with that. Yeah, I know, I was 5. Okay. So what's the difference, 5 or 35? Not, well, I'm too old for that. No. You're not too old. You did it. Well done. Now we have a new thing. So I have this beautiful lunch with this beautiful woman who is saying that this is so difficult. And then after the lunch, we were talking. She said, this was so much fun. And I said, it is. And it was. And we'll have another one. And you know what's amazing? Back those days when you were doing all those other things, we hadn't even met. This fun was waiting in the wings. We didn't know each other then. We know each other now. So you lost something, you gained something. January is a month of, January is a month of, but it's not nonstop. There are happy, silly moments in between. And if we're going to focus on the dark ones, we also then reasonably should focus on the bright ones. Warren and I had this crazy, amazing, funny conversation yesterday. Made him laugh really hard. And he said, okay, I'm on it. And I thought, sure you are. It's a good time. Why don't we do that? Why don't you get on it? Why don't we have fun? And then why don't we reveal it to everyone who says, oh my God, this is fun? The best part about shows that I do, live shows that I do that have something funny or silly or whimsical in it, the best part is the anticipation I have, knowing that people are going to laugh, knowing that when this happens and then that happens, everybody's going to go fall over sideways. That's the best anticipation feeling ever. It's the best. And as a final note, using the theater as the example, if they weren't at the rehearsal and they don't have a copy of the script, they don't know how it was supposed to happen, how it was supposed to unfold, what you were supposed to be doing. They have no clue. It's a first time for them. The only way they'll know that it's not turning out the way you planned is if you tell them. If something goes wrong and you go, "Gah!" they'll know. However, if you adopt my, I meant to do that, they love it in New York, they don't know. And you won't do it again. You'll figure out how not to do it again. But, oh, I hope they don't see that error. That's a self-imposed deadline, a self-imposed punishment. That isn't going to happen. You deserve you don't receive unless you give yourself permission. How is that possible? Because you're in charge. Not the little black cloud, not the looming gloom. You're in charge. A disaster of some kind, a car crash, people sitting for 4 hours on a highway. Okay. Next time, you know what to put in the car. In case. What did you miss? What did you need? What you desperately crave? Put it in the car. Why? Because if it doesn't happen to you again, it may happen to someone else, and you can say, "Here, you're welcome." There's always a trough between the waves, and there will always be tsunamis. We don't have to be inundated. If we have the resources, we have the energy, we are rested, we can focus, we can figure out how to position ourselves to ride the tsunami, to leverage its power. All of us do. And in case you're wondering, ask each other if what I'm saying is true. And if you want to find out more, you know where to find me. And I guarantee you, Chris will confirm, because Chris and I have walked this path together very recently. Choosing to believe that what I'm saying is true and leaning in when you've shown up is worth it. I can vouch for it. So can he. So can Susan. So can Warren. So can all of you. And we deserve it. Okay. Lots of stuff to do this weekend. Lots of weird weather. I want all of you to remember that if it's cold outside and your house isn't primed for it, wear extra sweaters. That's what they're for. Eat well, get sleep, stay warm, hug your loved ones. If you haven't got a loved one currently, draw a stick figure loved one and hug the piece of paper. And if you feel like an idiot and it makes you laugh, that's a win. January is a month and a half. Okay. You know what comes after that? Another one. Because everything is temporary. So it's a temporary pause because I will be back. I will see you next week on Tuesday and Thursday. And I hope you're joining me. And I hope you tell your friends. And I hope you go and check out We Are the Unforgettables and join us. It's a really cool place to hang out. All right. Remember to hug your loved ones. They need you to. Thanks for watching.